Testing, testing. Good evening, folks. Hey, Paul. Good to be here tonight. Things have been a little crazy, so I haven't had time to really prepare too much here, but what I do have is a couple projects here on my workbench that I'm trying to wrap up and clear off, so I figure, what the heck, we'll work on those tonight. So the big one that I'm trying to wrap up here is this right here. So this is a Alco S2, one of the old Atlas models, and yes, this is HO scale. I know, shocking. It is far too large for anything I'm doing. But it is for the club. Pine Valley, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Glad to have you here. But yeah, so this is a Bluenami install that I'm doing for my club, because my club wants to get Bluenamis in a lot of their locomotives, and man, has this been a process, because this decoder, this locomotive, even though it's an HO scale locomotive, boy, does it not have a ton of space inside of it. I'm just gonna bring the music down a little bit. Hopefully it's still okay and you can still hear it a little bit, but it was just very loud in my ears. But yeah, so this has been a process of getting this decoder in there. I've had to modify the shell a little bit. I've had to remove the coating around the Bluenami, and it's been a journey, but it's almost done here. And then I've got this NP boxcar here, and this New York Central boxcar here that I want to start weathering. I've got all my mini prints that I still have net painted up. And then we've got the depot project, which I'm trying to make sure it stays at right angles here. I'm hoping to do more work on that. I was hoping to do more work on that tonight, but I just didn't have time to clear my workspace of this stuff, so we'll work on this. Good evening, Sean. Glad to have you here. But yeah, so we're going to start with trying to finish this up, and all that really is necessary to finish this up is I need to clean up some of these wires. So I've already got some of these trimmed to shorter length. So I just need to hook them in. There's the other end of the blue. And then I need to shorten down all these wires, which are for the, here, actually, let me do this. That way you folks can actually see what's going on a little better. I've got to shorten down all these wires. These are to the pickups and the motor leads. Those got to get shortened down. And then I got to get everything to fit nice and neat inside of this this shell, which that's going to be a process in and of itself. But I did, I've already run all the LEDs, and I still have to test fit and make sure that the how these wires are running here will fit. I think they might. I'm a little worried about the about them not quite fitting, but we're gonna see. We're gonna find out, and I might get frustrated, but we'll get there when we get there. But so step one here is to resolder these wires. So we're gonna get to doing that. But how has everyone been? How's everyone's week and weekend and everything been? Hopefully good. I know mine was very good. I spent a lot of time with family, which was very nice. So we're glad to hear, Paul. Yeah, sorry I didn't get to tune in too much to your stream tonight. I was over visiting my grandmother with my brothers, so family comes first, obviously. So, but from the little bits that I did tune into, it seemed like you made some good progress. All right, let's tin these. Let me see. Let's get this in here. I've got 2 sets of helping hands now, which is very nice. I just don't really have the space with this HO scale track here to use both sets. But we're going to do what I can here. All right, get my solder out. Glad to hear. Yeah, the warm weather is finally coming in. As you can see, I'm wearing my t-shirt today, which is very nice. Yeah, the boss was just getting back from a weekend up in New Hampshire. So he said don't come in today because he didn't have any work really available for me. So, oh yeah, very nice, Paul. Man, I want to get camping again. It's been too long since I've been camping. I miss camping. Excuse me. Let's tin up this next wire. This is interesting because this is, I think, actually the first time I'm showing me doing any soldering or electrical work on stream. Clean up the iron here. Yeah, I really want to go camping with some friends this summer. Because it's been a long time since it's been probably since I've left for college. Or actually no, we went camping with my family the summer of 2020, or no, summer of 2021. That's what it was. Maybe it was 2020. I certainly remember it was during COVID times. I just need to make sure that I get this orientation right on this. Oh boy, Sean, I hope you got a fan in there or something. Yeah, I would love to do that, Paul. That would be wonderful. All right, so the coder needs to be like this. So I need to do like this. No, go away advertisement. Go away advertisement. Yeah, good to hear, Sean. Because otherwise that'd be quite toasty. Well, let me get my my shrink tubing here. Three pieces of shrink tubing. There we go. Start with green, which green's my F3 or F4 auxiliary light, which I have for the number boards. I thought about wiring an LED directly to each number board, but I started with that and it just was so bright. So what I wound up doing is you can't really see it, but let's see if I can get enough light in there. So this is obviously the headlight right here. And underneath it, you got these set of wires down there. This second red and black set. And that's just an LED basically mounted to the roof of the locomotive here. Between the roof and the LED for the headlight. And it basically illuminates the area, and then that goes through the these light wedges, and I think it lights the it doesn't overdo the lighting on the number boards, which is nice, because I don't know nearly enough to know about using resistors to. I know that you can use resistors to kind of wind down how much light is coming out of an LED and stuff like that, but I don't know enough about that to really sit down and do it. So I just did this, and then what's also nice about that is I only need one LED instead of two, which is good because I didn't fry an LED, but somehow I screwed it up and it stopped working. So I said, all right, well. Try and clean up some of the glue. Alright, let's get this green soldered up here. Where's that other? Evening, Andy. Good to see ya. Hope you're doing well. Man, I gotta get this HO thing out of here. It just takes up so much space, this track. No, it's LED. It's an LED. I'm using all surface mount LEDs. You can see one in the cab there for the reverse light. The big giant thing that you see there, that's the actual light bar that brings the light to the headlight. I basically repurposed that and coated it in what's it called? Heat shrink. To keep the LED in place and in the right orientation, because I was just having issues with getting glue to adhere to the plastic. And two, block it out from so that when the headlight comes on, only the headlight comes on and not the number boards. Yeah, good practice for N scale. Absolutely. I've used these surface mount LEDs a couple times on my other N scale stuff, and I've gotten decent at working with them, or at least I think I'm getting there. But it's obviously still a learning process. Yeah, there's some lighting stuff that I want to do. Not really in ends. Well, some stuff in end scale. Nothing too. Well, yeah, I do want to do sound. That is the big thing. I want to put sound in. I've got two Jeep 9s now. painted for the New Haven. The one that you got me, and one that's a slightly more modern version that I've had for a little while now. And I want to put low sound decoders in those. But those don't need any big lighting features. This is my first kind of foray into using the auxiliary features on a decoder. And I considered not even doing it because I was like, it's just number boards, and most people probably aren't even going to want to bother turning them on anyways. But I looked up pictures, and it's like, it's just worth it for me. No one else will know, and no one else will know really that you can turn them on probably because it's always going to be on Blue Nami. And Blue Nami has its own thing where you have to go to a separate little pull-out tab to get to the various functions if it's not a default thing. But I'll know, and I'll be able to turn it on and off, and I will appreciate it. Why is this not going? Absolutely worth it, yes. Alright, where's my... So I gotta get some flux paste. I got this, this is flux, like liquid flux. And it works good, but flux paste would just be a lot easier to apply. No worries, Adam. You're not even 15 minutes behind when I started, so... I am, yes, working in HO scale. Yes, this is rather a large project for me. This is a club locomotive that they wanted a Blue Nami in, and I said I'll take it upon myself to do that. And so I'm just kind of finishing the process up now. I'm tidying up wires, tightening things down, cleaning things up, so on and so forth. Damn it. They came unsoldered. I was trying to clean up that. Alright, pull the heat shrink back away. That way it doesn't accidentally shrink down over where I can't move it. There we go. Now we're good. Now let me put my soldering iron down. Let me close up my flux before I spill it everywhere. I have made that mistake before. That sucks. Luckily, only a little bit of it spilled when it did spill, but that was really annoying. Oh yeah, party time indeed. Instant ramen. We're going back to college. Hey, instant ramen's always good though. It's quick and easy, and it's tasty enough. If you throw a little, especially if you throw a little bit of chicken in there. What I was always used to do is I would have frozen. I would cook like a whole chicken breast and then chop it up and cube it basically, and then freeze it, and then when I would make ramen, I could take it out, put it in the boiling water, would heat it back up. And then I throw in some frozen veggies, and then, now it's not just about a thing of frozen ramen. It's a whole, Yeah, time for second dinner there, Paul, huh? Oof, yeah, that sucks, Adam. Yikes. You could see I've got, most of the bottle still full. I only spilled a little bit, but... Okay, so that's... the green all tidied up. Let's do the white. So the green is for the number boards. The white is for the headlight, and then the blue is the common. I'm just saying things out loud to keep things straight in my mind. Not that it really matters at this point, because everything is hooked up to itself. I cut out excess piece of wires. Excess length. Chin this up. There we go. There is no need for that. I'm actually fairly impressed with the sound on this this decoder. It's certainly not customizable to the degree of a ESU Loc sound, but it's actually decent sound files for the 539 non-turbo, which is if I remember my research, oh, almost forgot this, which is what the S2s had. But switching the prime mover is actually very easy on the Blue Nami because it's all just in the app, and you just kind of select which one you want. Once I get everything buttoned up here, I'll show you guys, for anyone who's not used a Blue Nami before. But yeah, the sound file quality is actually very nice on these. Or on this one. I don't know. If ESUs weren't on the market, based on my experience with these, I might go with the Tsunamis for any future sound projects. But ESUs are on the market, and they're far more customizable. So that's what I'm planning on going with. Where did my other set of tweezers go? Let's pull this over. Come on. There we go. Now shrink that down. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that honestly is a big reason why my club is looking to get them, is because our current president is an O-gauge dead rail guy, and he's just really big on them. If he wasn't in it, I think I might be pushing for Wi-Fi throttles instead of all Blue Namis on our HO scale display layout. Because the big reason he wanted Blue Namis is so that when like kids come to visit, because we are hey, speaking of, how you doing? It's we've got the Blue Nami almost in here, but speaking, he shall appear. I guess there's Peter, but the big reason that Peter and a lot of people want us to have all Blue Namis is so that we are able to, when kids come to visit the Hyde Park Station, which is where we're based out of, they can run trains on our iPad. Basically, it's nice and easy for them. They don't have to worry about figuring out NCE Power Cab, which is easy enough to use, but it can be very intimidating because there's a lot of buttons on there. So if we weren't going the Blue Nami route, I might advocate for Wi-Fi throttle, because that's easy enough to control as well. We just would then need to invest in getting a Wi-Fi module for our NCE system. But the Blue Nami actually is worked pretty good. So let's see. Yeah, absolutely, Paul. ESU is still king for the smaller scales. Paired with decoders, so I'm not going to change anything. 12. Change up the rest. Oh, that's a lot. Yeesh, that's a lot of money, Adam. Yeah. Ray, good evening, my friend. funny that you're out in Cuse. My brother is home from Cuse. He got home on Saturday, and he's home for the summer. So good to have him back. But hope you're doing well out there. Hope you're able to find a little bit of time to get to Tractor Supply Co. Oh, nice catch, Ray. Very nice. That is... That's, I don't know what to say to that, Paul. It's, it sucks. But, you know, that's... Unfortunately, the ninth inning seems to be their Achilles heel of late. They'll either hold out or they won't in the ninth. Yeah, exactly, Adam. Sometimes it's just not available, or sometimes they, you know, a manufacturer's working with another thing or anything like that. He's been sitting in Fonda waiting for Amtrak to zip around it. Oh wow, 2 max, very nice. That's a great day. I'm pretending to be Paul tonight, Ray, by doing a decoder install here on stream. I'm working on, this is an old Alco S2 from Atlas in HO scale. It's for my club at the Hyde Park Station. They wanted a Blue Nami in there, so I'm putting one in there. Peter, since you're in here, I regret to inform you that there's just not enough space in this for the Keep Alive that we got. I thought there was going to be a little more space than there was in here. We can certainly fit Keep Alives in here, but we're going to have to go outside of Soundtracks to get them. I've got a couple ideas for TCS ones that we can probably get in here. But KA2, exactly. That's what I was gonna suggest. We got the Soundtrack's current Keeper 2, which I thought was gonna be small enough to fit in the cab. But unfortunately, the only way to get the decoder to fit under the hood is to have it basically sticking out into the cab a little bit, so there's just not enough space for the current Keeper 2 in the cab. So we're gonna hopefully get a K2 smoke unit in there. There's barely enough space for what I am putting in here. I can't put a smoke unit in there. Ooh, that's a phenomenal shot, Ray. Very, very nice. Yeah, I've gotten pretty good at getting no blue smoke, which is good. You know, I've gotten pretty decent at keeping the magic smoke that makes the trains run inside the decoders instead of letting them out. But you know what? Maybe if you were doing it, Paul, there would be enough space. But I'm not skilled enough to to put space enough in there for that. Maybe a more modern unit you might be able to, but I don't know. Something about the way this is, it's just there's not a ton of space in here. And it definitely is a small locomotive, but... An angle grinder. And hope, yeah. Hope is a necessary requirement for most decoder installs at this point in my decoder install career, but we're getting to the point where it's becoming less and less of a necessity and more of just a nice thing to have. There's no need for that advertisement. There we go. Alright, we got the blue hooked back up. We get this heat shrink back over it. Alright, and then now I just need to clean up the wiring to the motors, and I think I need to do a little bit of cleanup on the wiring to the reverse LED. All right, let's make sure this heat shrink is really shrunk down. Good. Okay. All right, so long hood lighting is now done, and now I can I'll go ahead and turn on some lighting functions here and show some things off real quick. Let me turn off my task light so it's dark enough you can kind of see some things. Connect to oh boy, did I unplugged my that would help. I accidentally unplugged the track power. Oh, it's because it got caught on my foot. That's what's caught on my foot. Alright, well, that would do it. Alright, let me hook this back in. Alright. Now I've got to turn the track back on. Yeah. I think we can get away with TCSK2. I think it would be fine. It's just there's the soundtrack's capacitor is just a little too wide to fit behind the decoder. Once I button this thing up, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. But it's just not enough space. Just connect to the DC X again. There you go here, connect. Turn the track power on. Here's the sounds. And that's before putting the alright, so let's show some things off here. So we've got headlight. Headlight. I've got numberboard lights. I set up a single chime air horn. I think it's a Leslie. Is the one I set up? Was it a Leslie S200? Or E200 or something? Sound settings. Main sounds. Oh, it was a Wabco. No, it wasn't a Leslie. It was a Wabco. I put a Wabco E2 on there. Wonk indeed. Got a air bell on there. So I'm pretty happy with the sounds. Alright, let me turn off the prime mover sounds. Reconnect functions. Mute. There we go. Oh, actually don't mute, just shut down. There we go. Now I can turn the light back on. Yeah, it does sound really good. Like I said, I don't know. I didn't know what exactly to expect from Tsunami Sounds because I've never really done anything with their decoders before. Very nice sounds. Get my helping hands out of the way for a minute. Alright, let me kind of... These wires are the next. These guys need to be tightened up. As you can see, there's way too much length on these. But I've got to detangle them first so I can see what exactly is going on. So that's for my reverse light. That's for my reverse light. Alright, so it's black, orange, red, and gray that I need to trim here. Let me cut them, and then, thank goodness! Yes, exactly. That's the, that is the, that's gonna be the real struggle there, Adam. Is, Tetrising everything back into this hood. Alright, so let me trim these. Take this off the tracks for now, actually, because I just remembered one of these is two of these are power pickup, so we're not gonna have power if I cut power pickup. 3, and the red makes 4. This does not look like weathering indeed. This is where the "and more" in that title comes in there, Heath. Although we might get to some weathering in a little bit. Good to see you, my friend. I have not almost let it... Well, maybe I did. I don't know. I don't think I almost let it out. No, I think I'm being pretty careful. So let me get these all straightened out here. Figured out where everything is. Okay. Oh, that's pre-weathering. Yeah, that is true. All right. You got me there, Adam. You got me there. You got me there. That's fair. All right. So this decoder is going to be roughly here. It's going to be like this. And these wires are going to come over top. Go in the arch of the hood. So I can cut off to there. And to there and still have enough room. 5K search. Oh my gosh. That must have been so painful, Garrett. I cannot imagine that. Yeah, I agree, Adam. Let's cut this here. And then cut this one here. And now I've got some little scraps of gray wire. Yeah, I could not imagine doing that, Garrett. That must have been just horrendous. Alright, let's get the orange wire out here and the red wire. This looks like an episode of MacGyver. Yeah, it's similar. So I can probably cut about that much off of there. And about that much off of there. No, yeah, it's funnily enough, I don't think that you could, I don't think that'll work too well for you, as I'm sure you experienced. Oh, jeez. Shush. I wish I could get music that didn't have advertisements. Sometimes I do, and I get lucky, and I'll click on a music that has. Oh, I bet it got real spicy. Sounds like when the appliance. Ooh, that sucks. Yeah, that's and really frustrating too, because then you know you've got a brand new appliance that you just got that's basically useless. So on the reds, I can cut easily that much off. Okay. Orange, and that just leaves the black. And then we can strip the ends, tidy things up, get things resoldered. Get things buttoned back up and put back into the hood. Hopefully. I am really hoping this all fits in the hood. In test fittings, it really seems like it should all fit, but it's one of those things where you never really will be able to tell that it definitively will fit with no problems until you're trying to squeeze it in, Okay. Stripping wires. Oh, that's the other thing. Before I bring it back to... Where the hell did that dog bone go? There it is. Before I bring this back to the club, I do want to see if I can find, and if anyone knows a good source for them, that would be wonderful to know. I want to find a nylon screw to screw the motor back down to the frame. Right now it's just snugly in there. But the way the motor was attached to the frame was a screw, and the frame was... It was all like unisolate from the frame, and I don't want to short everything out. So I right now it's just in there loose, but there should be another screw like this one coming up from the underside that screws the motor to the frame. If anyone knows a good source for nylon frames that are 1/16 of an inch in diameter, Katie nylon, that's actually a good bet. I should look into picking up some. That might do. I know it's 1/16 inch diameter. I don't know the thread count, unfortunately, off the top of my head. And it needs to be probably about 1/8 of an inch long. Although I can cut it down. 256. Okay. I will, I'll look that up after stream. Thank you, Adam. That sounds like it might work then. And now we come to the part of the stream where Dennis uses a motor housing like a cutting board, because I don't have... Oh, don't melt the handrails. Damn it. Because I don't have my wire strippers anywhere near me. So I've just been using my X-Acto to carefully strip the ends. The amount of times that I've been working on this project over this weekend that I've almost put my X-Acto down across the rails, shorting it out. I cannot. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because my default thought is to put put the X-Acto down, so that way if it rolls left or right, not down onto my legs, which is probably fair. But yeah, I've a number of times now I've very nearly put metal things, whether it's my X-Acto or my tweezers or even solder, my spool of solder here, down to where it shorts out the rails. Nylon standoff screws for circuit boards. Okay, I'll look into that too if the KDs don't look like they'll be a good fit. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. This is why model railroading is the greatest hobby, because people people know all sorts of things, and when you ask, people will provide their knowledge. Hey, I'd say you try pretty darn good there, Adam. There we go. So that end is stripped to the red. Now let's strip this end of the red, which should be a little easier because I can just do this and actually use the cutting mat and not the motor housing. Oh boy. All right, I will yeah, let me finish stripping this wire, and then I gotta take a look at that. I need to figure out what I'm doing with my my channel's Discord server, because I don't really use it. When I made it, the original idea was to maybe set up a railroader server and maybe set up a time for people, for community members to do virtual ops on my layout, but my layout's still kind of a work in progress. Right now, so there's a handful of people in there, but I really don't use it very frequently. And I feel bad for the people in there, because I feel like I've just kind of abandoned that. Even though it never really took off. And it's only been around for a handful of months, but still. Non-existent. Yeah, I guess I do have you beat on that front then, Adam. My layout is very much existent. It's just very much problematic at the same time. Let me take a look at this circuit board here. Yeah, but the thing is, your server is active. Mine is like 5 or 6, and it's yeah, it doesn't. There's not really many people. Oh yeah, that is that's pretty rough, Adam. Or Garrett. Yikes. And the price of it, I'm sure, hurts a lot. Heesh. That is, yeah, you win. You win. Where's that tab? I have so many Chrome instances open. I have to search through like 4 instances of Chrome to figure out where the music's coming from. There we go. All right. So we got the red. Yeah, I plan on it, Paul. I forget that it's there. I always forget that it's there, even though it's the top server on my server list. I don't know, I don't think to post in there, but I really should. My issue is I'm getting to the point where I have so many servers that I'm in and so many communities that I'm a part of that I was like, I want to share it everywhere, but I feel like I get tired of reposting things from server to server to server to server to server. I think that it's in my community. I really, what I should do is I should update my default descriptions on the streams and the videos to include a link to it. But I think it's on a community post that I made like 4 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago. So if you people, if you people are interested in joining, that's where it is. But I really should update my default descriptions to include that. And speaking of videos, I'm almost done with the first video from Ops Till You Drop. I should have that finished up tomorrow night and uploaded. So you folks will start off by enjoying Drew James's Canada, Spokane, and Pacific, and we'll go from there. Where's the black wire? Oh, there it is. It's hiding in the shell. I almost said in the frame. That doesn't make any sense. Alright. So I'll have, with the black here, I'll have this end all she contributed. Oh, I appreciate that. Ah, yes, thank you, Paul. Yes, I forget that you have the power to do that, even though it's very clear and obvious on my screen because your name is blue. You have the power. There it is. Thank you, Paul. What? No. Come on. There we go. Red, orange. Here's the black. Yes, I did notice in the brief period that I was in there. Which, it's just good to have people who have the power, you know. It's just nice that you don't have to go and look for things and post them, or you don't have to deal with if any issues might come up in chat or anything. I haven't experienced that too much, but it's just a nice thing to have. Right, that leaves the gray. There we go. Okay, all stripped. Yeah, check out Dead Rail Trains. It's Peter. He's the president of the Hudson Valley Railway Society, and he's the which is the club that this layout is, or this locomotive is going to. He's got a very nice, very large dead rail O scale layout that he has in his basement, which is very nice. Someday I'll have to get over to Peter's with a video camera and record his layout and put it up on my channel and plug him there. But thanks for tuning in, Peter. I'll see you on Thursday with the locomotive here, hopefully in hand. But yeah, so check them out. All right. And now, yeah, abuse the power. Yeah. Well, that was the very first thing that Paul did when I gave him the power, was Rickroll. Ah, I see, I see. All right, let's tin these exposed wire ends. With great power comes great Rickrolls. I mean, responsibility. Very true, Paul. I have to say, Paul, because you're here and I'm doing this, you kind of inspired me to get into decoder installs. So thank you for being my inspiration to push my skill ceiling in the hobby up. Before, or I guess you inspired me to get back into it, because I tried doing it once, like a hardwire install, back in college, and it went poorly, and so I just kind of put it. Oh wait, before I do that, I gotta get my heat shrink. But before I did that, I took it all the ideas. Oh jeez. Before I what was I saying? I don't know. After I kind of fried a decoder, I just kind of put things on the back burner, and I said, whatever, I'll figure it out when I have more time. But then I started watching your streams, Paul, and it inspired me to try doing more hardwire installs and stuff like that. So thank you for hey, you know. That's what we're here for. We're here to push each other, and you know, something about the tide raising all ships or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for being my inspiration to get into some more of the wiring side of rolling stock. Next week, I think we'll be doing some weathering. If not, yeah, I think that's what I'll do. Because I want to, basically my goals, here, I'll fill people in here on what's going on with what I'm working on here. This is goal number 1 right now. This is priority number 1. Because, yeah, it really is, Garrett. But so this is priority number 1 because, you know, it's for the club. And we want to get this locomotive back on the layout and back running so that it can, you know, be useful. Then I am working on kind of concurrently the project where I'm scratch building the Hopewell Depot, which I did some work on a few weeks back on stream. has been kind of on pause since I've been off doing all my operating weekends and things like that. And working on recreating a picture of a New Haven RS2 hauling a Northern Pacific wagon top boxcar and a New York Central two-door boxcar that I found on Pinterest, I think. But I decided I really wanted to recreate that photo, at least the consist, and eventually I want to build a small diorama or maybe a module based on that photo. But so those are priority number 2. So next week what we might do is do the weathering on the boxcars. The nice thing about the boxcars is they're lightly weathered. They're fairly lightly weathered, so it'll be a exercise in finesse. But never. The Alcos live forever. Alright, so we got orange hooked back up. Let me cut some shrink wrap for the others. There we go. Put this off to the side, the excess. Okay. So yeah, the main goal tonight is to just basically finish this project. I want this to be off my desk and onto the layout at the club. Yeah, exactly, Garrett. Hear me out. American Locomotive Company. You know, it's a compelling argument. As far as I'm concerned, it's a very compelling argument. Alright, we're going to do black next, because that's the next one that my soldering iron picked. Get a piece of shrink wrap on there. See how just the L and A L ones that stick around for you. Maybe the universe is trying to tell you something, Paul. Ooh, that sounds great, Garrett. All right. This helping hand back in here. I just have to be careful while I'm doing things that I'm also paying attention to where my soldering iron is, and I don't want it to get too close to my headphones wires. Let me actually pull my headphones wire up and kind of out of the way a little bit. That way don't accidentally melt the wire there. That's an April Fool's joke idea for you next year, Paul. Rename your channel just for April Fool's Day to Paul Stamps L and AL. B-23s or bust. we've got the black wire all done. We're going to do the red wire next. Because I picked it arbitrarily. This is basically how this is going. Is I'm picking wire colors arbitrarily. All right, well that's the next one that's gonna get hooked back up. I'm very glad, I gotta say, I'm very glad I did the harder work of actually getting things. You little rowdy. I'm glad I did the hard work of actually getting things wired right, done off camera, because I would be... I don't know if I could do that on camera. I'm not quite like you, Paul, as far as that goes. I'm not that good. It took me a while to get everything done. But cleaning up wiring, that I can do on camera. Nope, I need the... And this is what kept happening, is I would do things like that, where I would solder something together, and then I realized, oh shoot, I gotta unsolder it, and then it's just not good content, really. Let's tin up this wire end before I do that as well. That may or may not have ooh. Ouch. Just gave myself a small burn. Great content. Soldering and unsoldering and soldering and unsoldering. Great content. Sure. You know what? You're the expert when it comes to this type of content, so I will I'll trust you on that one. The only leaded solder that I've got around here is yes, hot things are hot and sharp things are sharp. Yeah, I got a little. I don't know if you can really see it in the brightness of the light, but I've got a little mark on my. Yeah, you can kind of see it a little bit there. Luckily, it's not. It was only for like a split second. It was just kind of a graze across my knuckle. But. Makes sense to me. The only leaded solder that I've got is this old spool right here, and I only use that for waiting cars. That makes sense to me. It was not my wallet. What a great scene. Okay. Slide this heat shrink over the solder. And bare wire. There we go. Okay, and now shrink it. Oh, yeah, that's oof. That's oof. I don't remember what the content of this lead is, but yeah, I think that's what this spool has too. Because I let's see, what is this? This is a 50-50 mix. This one. This is a 50-50 tin and lead, this big old spool. Can't field quality solder. Yeah, that stuff is only for waiting cars around here. Maybe we can see it. Just that's the problem, is that things that are so just bad for you work so dang well. Yeah, that's a spool that my dad gave me just to use as weight, because he's had it for a long time, and he's like, yeah, this is never gonna get used, so use it as weight in your cars. And I said, okay, will do. And I always make sure to either wear gloves while using it or wash my hands immediately afterwards in cool water. Try and get, trying to not get lead into my, What? I'm sorry. What? You want to run that one by me again there, Garrett? That's, Why? What? That is bizarre. Yep, that makes sense. That makes sense, Adam. Yeah, maybe. It might not be a bad idea, Karen. Oh, jeez. Nope. See, I did it. I just did it. Forgot to put the heat shrink on. I guess that makes sense. If you're taking, yeah, all right. I'll buy that. I'll buy that. That's I guess a valid. I don't know. It's just it still seems a little when there are options out there, but I don't know. I guess it also depends on if you're what you're soldering and how much you're soldering. Like if you're soldering a whole circuit board. Maybe. I don't know. Very true, Adam. Well, if you're like an EE or something, then that does also shorten the amount of time that you spend soldering, so technically still accurate. Yeah, exactly, Garrett. Melt the heat shrink. Good. Okay. In theory, this should be functional again. Let's find out. Let's get my helping hands out of the way. So I put this back on the rails. Hey! I didn't screw up shortening wires. Woo! Didn't screw up the easiest job that there was. I'm gonna have to redo the the cab, the in-cab headlight. Lead free, that's fine. Yeah. Like I said, the things that work well are always the things that are so bad for you. Alright, so let's see if I can at least button up the long hood here. Or the hood. There's no short hood on an S2. Fun fact, in case anyone didn't notice that. Okay. Slide the decoder up there. Come on. Come on. Yeah, that makes sense. That about tracks. See if I can get this to stay down. Alright. I'm gonna have to do some taping here. This is going to be real hard to get on camera because I kind of need things to be pointed towards me. How is the best way to get this done? Well, actually, hold on. It's pretty close. Yeah, that would probably help Garrett. Yeah, that it doesn't run. That does track, Adam. So let's just kind of loosely put the cab on here. I want to make sure this will run. Get the soldering iron out of the way, but also not so out of the way that it will fall on my lap and burn me. That right there is why a keep alive would certainly help. Okay, so why is that happening? Is that because something is touching something? Or why is that happening? Let's make sure. They still turn on. Yep. got to just be this piece of track, right? It's always when it goes over this piece of track. All right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, Garrett, because it's always right here when it gets onto this piece of track. So I just want to make sure that it's not like, you know, something's not isolated from something else and I'm shorting. As long as it's just a track issue, it should be fine. All right, so let's see about really buttoning this closed then. Yes, reconnecting. I know. You disconnected because it's not powered anymore. Let me see if I can get things taped into this hood. All right. Tape. I still have some tape out from when I was taping things earlier. Perfect. Very nice, Adam. Yeah, I'm gonna try and make that more of an active place where I share updates on things and whatnot. And that didn't tape, which is great. Guess I probably should have taped and then trimmed, because now it's damn near impossible to fit anything finger-wise in here. Try and really get that taped down. Alright. Now let's try sealing this puppy up again. See if we made it any better. Any more. Not really, no. Okay. Guess I should have left these wires a little longer. Funnily enough, I think this is the tightest decoder I've had to install so far. Yeah, exactly, Garrett. Oh my gosh. That is assuming that I don't screw something up and then have to open it back up again. But yeah, funnily enough, this is, I think, the worst I've had to... This is far worse than the N-scale decoders that I have done so far as getting things to fit. The N-scale decoders have all fit very nicely. Although, well, I don't know if this is better than the PA that I did, because the PA that I did, I did a bunch of milling on the old Concore frame to make sure everything fit nice. So that may have been a factor. There you go. I'll give you something to do, Garrett. Yeah, I've just got the speaker on this project. The speaker is this right here. It's literally mounted through a piece of double-sided foam tape to the front truck's gearbox, the worm gearbox. It was either there or it was have to get a custom housing made to put it in the roof of the cab, which I was not doing. Damn it. Dog bones fell out. Son of a gun. And there goes the tape. Okay, great. I don't know how much this is gonna actually get buttoned up tonight. I don't know if that's realistic, because I'm starting to get, you know, a little bit tired, and that's enough to where I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated. The nice thing is that I know it's functional. I can always go back in and add more wire length. The only issue with adding more wire length is then there's more wire to tidy up. But if it's easier to tidy up, it may be worth doing. I don't know. I wish there was like another 1/8 of an inch of height on this hood. If there was literally an 1/8 of an inch more, this would be perfect. So actually, I wonder if getting the cab slid on would help any with holding. Oh, okay. Well, no, it's not going to help on the front. Well, that's good to know, though. So once I get the cab on, the rear of the hood should be able to be on, no problem. So really, all I have to do is focus on getting enough pressure off the front of the hood that I can get it fully down. Like that. Alright, now let me clean up the work on this LED here. I have to resolder that. I love and hate magnet wire. It's so fragile, but at the same time, it's just so thin. There we go. Finally got it stripped. Okay. Solder on the bare wire end. Check. It's a love-hate for me, Garrett. It's so good at being so thin and being, you know, fairly squishable and being, but it's just such a pain to work with sometimes. Ooh, almost got another burn. It's very warm. Little piece of heat shrink. Both diameters that I've got out here. You gross. This is an occasion where I would have actually, I think I might have preferred magnet wire on all the wires. Because if magnet wire was on all the wires on this decoder, this issue of fitting the wires would be almost a non-issue. It would almost be trivial. Just due to how thin it is. But at the same time, it would be a pain and a half to get everything done. So I don't know if it'd be worth it. Dark magic. Yeah, magnet wire is voodoo, I'm pretty sure. I just straight do not care about hiding the wires because they're not going to be hidden anyway. Okay, wait a minute. I think... Wait, just one? Gosh. I don't know about you guys, but that looks like a fully installed shell to me. Front truck is a little tight, which does worry me a little bit. Of course, I can't test curves because I don't have curves. No, this front truck is definitely a little screwy. Alright, I may need to open this back up again later. Because there's something up with this front truck. It's not seating on the rails right. But for now, I just want to see if it will run properly. We'll give you a... oops, I forgot. It's upside down. There it is. And let me quickly switch the speaker to the, or the mic to the webcam mic. That way you can hear it up close. Properties. Microphone is on.
Hopefully it's not complete. That's all I'd rather. There's the headlight. Okay, so there's definitely, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to open this back up. Oh my gosh, it probably sounds like complete garbage right now. I'm definitely gonna have to open this back up because the number board lights are almost don't exist. At least on this side. It's good on that side. So there's probably a wire blocking it. There you can see the number board lit up. Right. Let's go forward. Might be up there, Sean. Okay, yeah. I'm definitely going to have to open this back up because the motor's being interfered with by the wires. Alright, but it's almost there. And you know what? That's good enough for me right now. Ugh. That's good enough for me for tonight. Tomorrow I can open it back up and fiddle with wire placement and fiddle with maybe making some channels in the shell to get things to run a little better. But I think that might do it for tonight's stream. I'm very happy that the fact that I was even able to get this closed back up is very promising. Because, I mean, that shell is full, like there's no gap anywhere here. So with some effort, I will be able to get this the way I want it. But I think that's gonna do it for me for tonight because it's now 11 p.m. It is most definitely time for me to pack my lunch for work tomorrow and get to bed. But thanks for sticking around with me tonight, y'all. I know this is definitely not what I normally do on these streams, but it's fun. And, you know, maybe we'll start to throw some decoder installs into the cycle of streams, in addition to the weathering and structure work. But, oh, let me switch back the microphone so it's not complete garbage for the end of the stream.
There we go. That probably sounds much nicer to y'all. Yeah, so like I was saying, you know, this is fully, there's no gap anywhere along the seam here. So I'm going to open this back up probably tomorrow. Really, you know, I might actually use my cutting Dremel end to carve some channels down the sides of the shell. You know, some thin channels, you know, shallow channels, to make sure that the wires can route without interfering with the motor, without blocking out the... really, the biggest thing is interfering with the motor. If it blocks the number board light, oh well, you know, so be it. if I'm really bugged by it, I can always put a second LED in so that there's two, one on either side of the shell. That was the original plan anyways. But that's going to do it for me for tonight. This is so close to being done. And then I just have to get the handrails back on, and it'll be good to go. Ed, glad you're here. Unfortunately, you're here right for the very end. I was installing a Blue Nami in this old Atlas S2 here, which is, it's fully installed. The only issue is when I closed it, button everything back up and get it all back under the hood, the wires are now interfering with the play of the front truck and into the motor. Glad that you were able to join us at least for the very end here, Ed. Awful work. I wish I had more in me tonight to keep going for, you know, folks like you who are a little late, you know, either closer to the West Coast or work late like you do, but I'm pretty wiped right now. And I've got work in the morning, so, you know, I must go, sadly. But this is so close to being done. I will be sure to post a short of this running on the layout at the Hyde Park station when it is done. But yeah, the annoying part of second shift. Exactly. But in any case, thanks you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you all for joining me on this journey of shortening wires, which is all that I did tonight, was just shorten wires and try and stuff the wires all back into this darn shell. But be on the lookout for hopefully tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then Wednesday morning. I will be putting out the video on Drew James's Canada, Spokane, and Pacific. The first of 3 videos from Ops Till You Drop. And following that, there should be 4 videos from Island Ops. So, thanks for tuning in tonight. Look forward to those videos. Should be coming very soon. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thanks for tuning in. And I will see you guys all on the next track. Have a good night, folks.